Oh, do you hear that? There's like faint, very faint music echoing throughout this place. But over the sound of the water, you've got to listen very carefully to be able to hear it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is Liminal Retrospection. This is by the creator of Alpharex, who is actually the creator of the original Liminal Hotel map. And I'm always so excited to check out their stuff because, well, I basically owe them my career. That was the video that launched this channel, and it's so cool to see that they're still at it. Apparently they made this a while back for their friends, and only recently decided to publicly release it. So I'm really happy to be able to give it a spin. And already, there's kind of a unique take on this where, yes, we're starting off in the pool room's architecture that we've seen so many times before. But by simply adding the element of music, it kind of gives the place a personality shift, doesn't it? Where normally this is meant to feel hostile or at least indifferent, and therefore us feeling so alone and vulnerable inside it, this feels so much more inviting. While there are some dark corners and cutouts in the architecture that would normally feel ominous, it's all very much overpowered by that brilliant light radiating from these massive windows. And when you see it reflect off of the tiles, practically blinding you in and of itself, I don't know, I can't help but be reminded of being a kid and waking up on those summer mornings, seeing the light pouring through the window and just knowing it was going to be a good day. I don't know, it's something that I'm so used to seeing in a horror context, but already it just feels so nice and warm. And that's already something worth mentioning. Something else that's worth mentioning, that suspicious cutout in the wall over there. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now the question is, do we platform 9 3/4 this thing right now, or do we give it a little while? This may be just as dreamlike as ever, but it's a good dream, not a bad one. And you know, that's something that I think is often overlooked in liminal space maps. Something that is so intrinsic to the concept, but it's not always creepy. There's a reason why so many liminal space images are based on nostalgia. And well, nostalgia, I feel, is good more often than bad. So it's strange that so few maps lean into that. We do have some shadowy corners back here, but of course every dream has got its dark side. Doesn't have to detract from anything. Oh, and the music actually seems to be getting more pronounced, louder, the farther down I go, but here I am having to crouch a bit. I feel like a kappa or something kneeling down in the water, bowing my head. Growing louder and quieting down, seemingly at random. A music with no source, and yet it's just so filling me with confidence that this is the right way to go. That this is a good thing that's happening, even having me ascend a staircase as it grows louder, and then fading in and out at random intervals. This is what it's like to hear music in a dream. Have you ever had that before? A soundtrack to your own thoughts, essentially. Creating a reality for you that is in every way perfectly designed to make you feel the emotion you're supposed to be feeling. If supposed to is even the right way to describe it. It's like we're leaving that feeling behind as we walk into the shadows. Maybe it's because we've already gotten what we needed and we don't need it anymore. Or maybe we're shifting into something a tad bit spookier? Or maybe just a bit more relaxed. You know, it only has to vaguely mimic it for me to know exactly what it is I'm looking at. Only fitting from the creator of Liminal Hotel. But it seems that one of these windows is not like the others. Even the music, which faintly echoes off these walls as if emitting from one of these... Well, I called them windows, but really that's just my brain mapping onto what it sees in these patterns. That it wants to see in these patterns. Even that harkens back to the map by the same creator. But I'm actually seeing that several of these go in different directions, not just the one. So I'm thinking we start with the left and work our way right. Alright, let's crouch down in preparation so we don't clip our head through the ceiling. Don't you hate it when that happens? Ooh. Here we are in one of those arcade/movie theater back areas. Music coming through unseen speakers. The kind of thing that you probably wouldn't even think about until you look around and realize there's nowhere they could be coming from. The creator assures that these should not give any copyright issues with YouTube. However, I'm going to doubt, because even the original map has had its song give me problems. Oh my, look. We can actually see lights on the ceiling that aren't doing much to illuminate anything, but do show us just how high that ceiling sits. And making me realize just what a maze this is. Okay, we're gonna need the flashlight for this one. This right here at the entrance seems to be where that music is at its strongest. Like a mall that's closing down for the decade. And that decade was the 80s. Oh, there we go. I can actually see the ceiling by the light of the flashlight. Maybe I wasn't supposed to use it, but... I also... Oh, here we go. I almost didn't notice that. But we can make our way out of darkness. Oop. And right back to where we started. Okay. Well, at least we know that completing these will get us back to where we're going. So these things will be, at worst, eerie. We don't have to worry about... Oh! I should have known. I should have known we would take a spin into actually creepy sooner or later. If only by association. I did hear that the location of the original Backrooms photo was found recently. Figures it would be in Wisconsin. I just think that's so cool how, something can become so famous so long after the fact in a way that the original people involved would just have no idea. How something so innocuous could be spun off into something so far-reaching simply by the imagination of the collective. Hello, shadowy room. Sorry, I just had to check if you wouldn't try to swallow me whole if I stepped inside. Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't. Well, wait. Oh my. So rarely have I been so overwhelmed by a visual, that swelling of the soundtrack, and looking up from the bottom of this pit. Imagine if this is what you see in the moment you realize you've died. And in that moment, that was just an overwhelming sense of just being small and helpless and hopeless. They're like simultaneously buildings growing horizontally out of the walls, and highways which have collapsed, never to be crossed again. Like I'm at the bottom of a trap meant to keep me here, and there's no way I could even hope of trying to escape. It's like being lowered into the ground at my own funeral and being aware of everything but unable to even say anything to stop it. This area is doing a lot, but we have our way out, so let's go. Immediate relief, and I have to say there's a lot going on with the fact that it's not even a door that we open, but an abrupt transition by simply approaching the door. The way that overwhelming sound just stops the instant we come back. Let's keep going with that knowledge in our head. I'll be honest, when I saw the screenshots of this, I was like, oh cool, it's like a liminal space, like pool rooms type map. I didn't think I'd have so much to say about it so soon. Okay, when you're in the back rooms, change is good. I'm just going to do a little bit more looking around, just to see if there isn't anything else here. I wonder if this will drop us back off at the end. It may. Sorry, I decided to come back and see this first. And it is just what I thought. Oh, right. Wow, that... Ooh. I was going to say that really screwed with my perception of up and down. I had forgotten that we had fallen so far. I expected to come out in one of the higher windows. But we found a portal right here, which we can address as soon as we're done back this way. But let's go back over here. You know, it's strange. It feels like entering, like, a childhood home or something, totally vacant, but otherwise in perfect repair. All of this feels like I've been here before. Like, long before I can even remember. But somehow it evokes feelings of familiarity. Like, it's disconcerting, but not uncomfortable. should have figured. Think about the back rooms just as quickly as a striking image is shown to you, it's gone and you're on to something else. Just like a dream, you almost have to forget as soon as it's out of your vision. Unfortunately, we've long ago lost our ability to move in a linear fashion. But this is how you should take these things. Just walk from one image to the next and allow it to present itself to you. Don't try to act like a tour guide, because you'll quickly find you don't know anything. It's like a prison courtyard or something. Or a gold source map. Okay, well, I don't see any signs telling me not to climb on the sculptures. Yep. Oh! If we get up here, we can see above. Let's set a goal for ourselves. Maybe we can get on top of that one over there? One issue with VR is that it's nearly impossible to hold down the stick and keep it pointed forward simultaneously, but for just a moment we can get a small glimpse at what's to come. In this case, it's only coming back that we're able to see just how strange this is. This sterile white wall, and just that small cutout that simultaneously seems like it's not supposed to be there, and like this whole thing is here for it. Well, let's keep looking then. I have a feeling we haven't exhausted all the strangeness in this place. I've got to wonder why the creator's friends wanted this place. I mean, it's great, but what was the nature of the request? This room makes me feel like a toddler being shown the doors to a play place. That glowing white sky, it's like the path ahead is being laid out for me. And yet there's a clear warning. So inviting, but something's off. Like it's showing freedom, but only what little bits are needed to convince me that it's freedom. Oh, these rolling hills leading straight into the mouth of a tunnel. You know, there's nothing like columns and ornate ceilings to make it feel like a place has great importance, even if there's nothing else in it. Well, nothing except a blending in door in the back. Why does it feel like the columns themselves are the important people that are meant to be here? Like you can feel them watching you from above. It's like their corners are eyes staring down at me, each representing some old titan. Well, old titans, I'm just scooching through on the way to the restroom. Look at this ground. It's like almost Minecraft textured. It's dark and lonely. Only one bright spot in the center to show me where I'm going. In an environment like this, standing under the spotlight, that music playing above me, I feel like I'm in the wrong medium. Like, in this context, I should be a dancing little sprite, sitting there in the second dimension, in some game that is cutesy, but nevertheless has some heavy themes. It feels so strange, even if it does make sense, that when I stomp around in the water, the ripples that pass over that pit to the abyss behave just the same as where it's only ankle deep. I don't know, there's something really unintuitive about that, but we do still have one more of these things to check out before we move on. Right here. Am I late for the office pizza party? Oh, I get it. It's a team building exercise. And we all lie on our backs and float there and just kind of contemplate each other's presence. Yep. Will you be the first door we can actually open? Yes, you are. You say exit, but you really make us work for it. Is this the employee fitness incentive? And all roads lead back to the back rooms, don't they? Now that's funny. We've got the obvious ahead of us, a dark and ominous room with a single spotlight in the middle, and yet arrows leading us off into the shadows. And now the question is, which one do I trust? And the real answer, of course, is in Glock we trust. It's like you're making us perform some sort of ritual, having us walk around the outside. Aha, are you our path back? I may be able to see straight through, but that does not make me feel any less like there could be something waiting in the dark. Imagine crawling through here and feeling something grab your ankle, tripping you as you try to go through. And all your friends outside hear is the screams coming from this one particular vent that's so high up. We have a window onto where we came from. Oh, it is crazy what a perspective change can do. And if we look around, we can see like the light from the whole map leading up to this flickering over the walls. As inconsistent as the music that we can sometimes hear. Well, unfortunately, we've now got to go all the way back. I don't trust hallways like this. You know, I was once exploring an abandoned warehouse, and I was going down a hallway that there was two big brightly lit rooms on either side. The hallway itself was fairly short, but it was dark in the center. And I still managed to kick a metal desk that was on the floor in there. Dark shadows and low ceilings. This place feels like some kind of dingy old retirement home, the kind of place you might visit someone in, but you really feel like you should excuse yourself as early as possible. And it chooses here for absolute silence. The sound of my feet on carpet, simultaneously nerve-wracking and the only reassurance I have. But I guess that's that. Okay, let's get the heck out of here. Oh, I don't like this place. There's almost a whole story I could glean off the top of my head with this bed here, because the whole thing, it feels like some old person's house. Like, I've been invited in for a visit, but there's something off about them, and it's like we're stepping into their own head when we walk into their house. Let's just run on out of here and burst into the water. Whee! That ankle-deep water breaks our fall Minecraft style. But we are not done yet. No, sir. This is gonna be awful. Well, hold our breath. Oh, right, I'd forgotten. This is really hard in VR. I actually, instinctively closed my mouth because I felt my chin go beneath the surface. You can say a lot about VR, but you can't say it's not immersive. There we go. It's like a wedding chapel. And quite a nice one at that, but the floor is behaving weirdly in VR. Oh, I knew it. That's why I kept checking. I knew I had felt a ladder. Or heard it, at least. Is this where I get married, or is this where they lay my casket for viewing? Either way, it feels nice. It's like the empty shell of a comforting memory. That is so strange, literally insulated from the world above by 100 feet of water, and kept safe down here where nothing can corrupt it, where nothing can touch it. Just this little pocket of good feelings. Like an air bubble to save you from drowning. This is really nice. A lot of the times I play liminal space maps and I find I don't really have a whole lot to say. I'm amazed at how much I'm getting from these simple spaces. But it's time to bubble our way back up. Oh, what, now you're gonna give me a hard time going up? Well, I've been to the end. Now let's go back to the beginning. We still have to go through that wall. Oh, wait. There was a right turn here. Okay, we're not going back to the beginning just yet. Okay, well, clearly the only way to do this correctly is to run through so we get that, rushing effect. Whum, whum, whum. Oh, there is so much more to this than I thought. Welcome home. Come on. The thing about all these spaces is that they feel like they're made from memories. Doesn't help that this looks very much like a structure in my childhood home right here. And for some reason, these particular light fixtures being everywhere kind of does the same thing for me. But it's so silent up here. It's like we walk through the front door and it invites us in. But it's all dark and shadowy in here. It's empty. It's almost like a much more melancholy memory of something that used to bring us joy, of something that used to feel safe. I mean, looking down the stairs, it's kind of like as the music fades out, so too does our nostalgia, and it seems so much more distant. Suppose that could be interpreted as simply retreating to the safety of our room, where it's the same thing but quieter. Still, it does kind of feel like this map is like somebody's life flashing before their eyes, like each area represents something different, you know? We got our wedding chapel beneath the water, our childhood home, the place we end up, old and lonely. And a night of dinner with friends. Maybe one that particularly stood out. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Well, let's not go jumping down any dark holes until we've seen every door. God, that's overwhelming. We walked in here and got sprayed full of music buckshot. Hotel hallways over and over. But it just never ends. The expansiveness only exacerbated by the endlessly repeating patterns of the carpet and the lights overhead. Okay, well, what happens if we try to make it to the other end? God, coming out all the way over here and looking back, it's like going too far out to sea, and turning around and realizing that the shore is so much farther away than you thought it would be. Alright, we're running back, because somehow being this far from where we came in is even more disconcerting than the overall size of the room when we first encountered it. And even now, I feel like I should turn around like I'm being chased. Like going up the stairs after getting water at night. Okay, at least here we're anchored by nearby walls. Something to not feel like our brain is expanding outside of our own skull. Things are getting darker and more shadowy the further we go. 3 doors all condensing into one. And yet, despite having the feeling of being a hotel, there are never any doors except for the exact one we need. Although, I guess that's kind of what a hotel feels like, right? So many rooms, but you only pay attention to your own. I'm sure that could be interpreted as profound in some way, even though it's really not. Huh. The room expands, and so too does the circle of the dinner party. And yet the idea is the same, so much wasted space. What is going on all the way over there? It's like 2 glowing red eyes or candles at the other wall that just flicker in and out of existence, like my brain can't decide if they're really there or not. Okay, it was a mirror glitching out. I've been jump scared by a lot of mirrors in my time. I've never been jump scared by one that waited for me to arrive before doing that. Otherwise, I would have seen myself from so far. Man, we look good. Okay, so now the question, since we've come all this way, does this mean that we should go jump down that hole at the first dinner party? Answer: nah. And the music completely dims as we approach. I don't know why, but I get the impression that even though the circle has expanded, I'm no longer in it. Back right as I go my own way. These sudden stabs as it increases in volume, that is actually kind of panicking me a little bit, especially seeing the state of this place. It looks much like the others, but stains on the walls and floors and flickering lights. It's like this whole thing is decaying as we go. Doesn't help that now there's actual vocals echoing through here. This may as well be a cave. What is that? It's another of these lights falling from the ceiling. Beams collapsing. It looks like here's the end of the road. Happy memories falling off into their conclusion. This whole section almost feels like we're revisiting old pleasant memories, but they're degrading. We're finding that we can see them less and less clearly, and that's starting to scare us, like it's starting to panic us or something. We're getting lost. It feels so big and intimidating. Well, let's see what's in the scary closet. I hope it's not scary. Yep. I'm sorry, is this the door to AOL? Oh god, did Kinetopet finally capture me into his crafted world? Oh my. Okay, let's try and tightrope walk this thing. Oh, what is the meaning of this? 1 minute we're having a chummy Italian dinner, and the next we're in a solid color nightmare. But it all leads back to what simultaneously evokes images of heaven and purgatory. Actually, as it turns out, the classic interpretation of heaven is a lot like a Windows XP desktop. Let's see what's in the toy box. Although if those windows are any indication, they mainly serve as a place the light doesn't touch. Half expected to see some shadowy figure standing at the back. Somebody that's been waiting for me for a long time. But there's still two more to look at. Although perhaps we should be having a look at the backyards? Nope, nothing. There's just the toy boxes and that which is contained within. Still nothing. Yet that drone pushes us onwards as if this is all leading to some sort of climax. The use of music in this map is amazing because it's like when the sounds of a dream inform how you feel about it. Or maybe it's the other way around, but either way, the effect is the same. And either way, like most dreams, we never find the thing that we're looking for, especially if we don't even know what that thing is. Let's get back. Man, at times the light on this map is blinding. But sometimes it's quite the opposite. Oh, we're back, wait. Oh, we've just come out right back on the other side. As if we had never left this room in the first place. Okay, well, there is still somewhere to go. But we'll have to crouch through water, and that's not going to be easy. Actually, it looks like we'll be crouching straight into another of those columns. All right, get ready to glub. Way to give this whole thing almost biblical importance. I can only hope the final walk is anywhere near as majestic as this. Accompanied by your own choir, walking down these glowing white halls surrounded by pillars, which, well, I've already expressed my love for columns in this part. But no door at the end. I don't know why, but somehow this is even worse than a lake of fire. To be given all that and then find nothing, no passage, no entry at the end of it all. When you're at the point where you actually have to stop and examine the pillars that sidelined your walk, then you know you're in the bad place. And now we've had to make that trip in reverse in total silence. Which is kind of funny, because I wonder if that's what like a near-death experience is like. You go through all this, and then St. Peter is just like, oh wait, no, you're not on the list. And you're like, all right, well, screw you then. He doesn't even just instantly wake you up in your body. You just have to walk of shame your way back out. Meanwhile, all the angels are pointing and laughing. Well, with that rejection from paradise under our belt, which I probably won't list on my resume, and now it's time to go all the way back and see what was beyond that wall. Look at all this. I really do hope that this video on flat screen conveys the absolutely grand scale of all this, how absolutely insignificant I feel in these huge rooms. And the thing is, I don't think it's even just about the size of the places that gives you that feeling. I think it has something to do with the architecture itself, and mainly the proportions. I'd have to think more about what actually causes it, but I do think that there's more to it than the obvious. Yep. Well, we could leap over here, but is there any reason to? Doesn't seem to be any more hidden in the great beyond. Oh wow, and there's kind of no way out of here without no clip. Good thing we've got no clip. But we won't need it for what's to come. Of course, now we can't trust walls ever again. We have to check every nook to see if it's not an invisible platform. But of course, where could any of this lead us? But back to some hallways that remind us of a hotel we may have once stayed in. I want a bathroom just like this. One that's just a big chamber, unnecessarily large, with nothing inside of it but one toilet in the center. One that sits under its own skylight and stares straight out the door, daring anyone who would pass to do something about it. Well, it may not be quite as elegant, but I suppose it sort of resembles the final walk. God, it's actually really throwing me off a bit how offset these walls are to each other. It's like a sawtooth pattern. And after everything we've seen, forgive me if I feel a little bit more comfortable in the dark. But it all ends here. Okay, I suppose I can't procrastinate any longer. I am the type who, at a party, will just kind of find a dark corner in a room away from everyone else to just kind of listen to the music through the walls. But this whole thing has been listening to music through distant walls, music that seems to come from no source. Now when it's silent, now when it's the most like man-made construction. Maybe this is my walk. A chair in the center, inviting me to stay, or I can step through at the end. Of course, there's always ways to game the system. Stupid angels. Alright, coming through. Hang on, I have to put you down for a moment. Was I not supposed to do that? Oh no, they dropped me off in Moscow. If anything, I can use it to hold off an attacker. What could be the worst thing after stepping through that heavenly experience but human construction? Being back on what looks like Earth. The most normal looking place yet, and yet it's wrong. Somehow more wrong than the thing we originally loaded this map up for the alien architecture. But who knows what awaits us at the end of this street? And I think the answer is, as with all roads on this map, nothing, and nowhere to go. It's like each branch represents its own story, its own path through life. I don't know, somehow this just felt more coherent than other liminal space maps. Felt like it was trying to say something, but maybe it's not what it was trying to say. Maybe it's just a series of feelings that pretty much anyone will be able to connect to their own lives. Maybe that's why liminal space imagery became so popular. That was, sure, just fly away. That was GM Liminal Retrospection. And you know, it's now with the benefit of hindsight that I realize it was right there in the title all along, wasn't it? I don't know what else I can say in this outro that I haven't already said throughout the video, but this was an amazing experience. I mean, I've been through so many liminal space maps that were spooky or comfy, But it's definitely got that mix of creepy and comfy, and I think where those things come from is by drawing on the explorer's own experience, which is something that is probably true for a lot of maps, but none of them have made me think about it so clearly as this one has. And I think pretty much everyone will come away with different interpretations simply because people's experiences form who they are and how they see things so much. It's why just about every experience is so subjective, because it's informed by everything that came before to the observer. I know liminal space maps are a dime a dozen these days, but I really feel like this one in particular deserves more attention than it's been getting. And I am so happy the creator reached out with it, because otherwise I probably would never have seen it, and it was certainly worth checking out. But I guess now would actually be a real good time for a no-clip run, huh? It would have been really easy for me to miss something, and well, I've got to see how this all connects. Having us actually use the windows of the Liminal Hotel, or at least something that will no doubt remind you of the Liminal Hotel, as portals to these different worlds, to these different lives by one interpretation, is such a cool idea. Yep. And there it is. Actually, in this loop, it's almost like one big train set, you know? Reminds me of some model sitting on the floor of some open office building. I don't know, maybe there's something about huge spaces that take such a long time to traverse that sort of force you to contemplate them more. And this map's use of music is also just exceptionally good. I'm going to be so sad if I have to mute parts of it, which I kind of suspect I might, even if it is copyright free, because, you know, with the way YouTube works, just anybody can make a claim on anything. Look, that one hallway that we marched down, the place where I first made my notes about the sense of scale and how it affects the player. It's actually like 3 times taller than anything else. Look, it's even taller than the buildings that line the streets at the end. Kind of crazy to see something like this from this perspective and realize what a rat in a maze we must have looked like to an observer. I mean, you'd never feel this sense of clarity, obviously, while you were in it, but that's why I like doing these no-clip runs on maps like this in particular. When you see the way all these spaces, all these independent experiences kind of weave around each other, you really start to see like the greater design, and maybe even gain a little bit of insight as to what the creator was thinking about what they wanted you to feel. But if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, the link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.